Hello and welcome to Business Today MindRush Pods. I am Siddharth Zarabi and with me today, Bharat Kaushal, the Corporate Officer for Hitachi Limited and the Managing Director for Hitachi India. With us also, my co-moderator on this pod series that we have been bringing you in partnership and association with PricewaterhouseCoopers is the Chairperson of PwC in India, Sanjeev Krishan. Sanjeev, this is a common thread that one encounters during many conversations with so-called old economy brands that they've not been here for like 10, 15, 20 years. They go back even before the Republic was founded. And therefore, a company like Hitachi, would you say that it's amongst those early proponents of Atmanirbhar Bharat in a way?
Yeah, well, in a few years' time, they will be almost 100 years in the country. So, and the impact that they're making today, manufacturing, we want to get self-reliant. Infrastructure, we want to get more competitive, whether it comes to logistics costs or otherwise. And of course, Bharat, you just mentioned digital as well. Where their payment solutions, what they do, they're also in the new economy. So every facet of the Indian economy, Hitachi is present.
Okay, let's jump in to understand manufacturing. And why manufacturing? Because after reforms, Bharat, and you've seen this, manufacturing kind of fell out of favor. It's not as if it stopped. Many companies that were not able to compete were replaced by other companies, foreign entrants with better technology, with larger access to pools of capital. But over the last 10 years, we have seen this policy push along with a policy architecture and schemes for boosting manufacturing. How do you describe the state of manufacturing in India? And because you're a global corporation, how would you place us globally as far as this effort is concerned?
So, manufacturing, I think, in my opinion, in the Indian context in the last 10 years, has received a whole lot of attention. First, they said China +1, the world economy is looking for other alternates, or in India as a generator of employment. But the manufacturing space, if you understand, the Chinese, Koreans, and many Southeast Asian economies had built capacities even in 1985 for 6-7 billion people and amortized costs over high margin Western economies with their competitiveness. So they could very easily question the competitiveness of manufacturing in India. And the other big change in the landscape of manufacturing globally was the introduction of robotics, which meant that principally assisted intelligence was going to augmented intelligence, was going to autonomous intelligence. So the new manufacturing requirement was a blend of operating technologies, IT solutions, and also a new society which is transforming with a new sense of empowerment and entitlement. So when we looked at which industries to focus in, capital goods will always remain very important in a large economy. And we have now become the world's biggest rail company or the biggest energy transmission company, with many new families joining into the Hitachi fold. And that itself has been a big turning point for our manufacturing base in India. It's not just about India for India, which is a very large market and has the ability to pay for better quality now.
I just want to ask that, from a policy regime standpoint, at one level, Japan-India cooperation, government-to-government cooperation has always been of a very high nature. But where do you think the business-to-business cooperation is, which has enabled you to contribute what you have managed to do so far?
So earlier, big companies, in my opinion, decided to do it all themselves. First of all, the environment has changed and no one can do everything themselves for the size of the change. But what has grown silently in 25, 30 years of the reform process is a tier 2, tier 3 India, which is very humble and hungry. They've been vendors traditionally. And they have now aspired, when I said hungry, to become partners. So when you enter India, there is already a playing field provided by both state-owned companies as well as private sector companies who can either do contract manufacturing with you or be parts which are very competitive, and they are already having credentials of being global suppliers. I mean, in the rail business, there is the big Indian Railway, which is one of the largest networks. There is urban mobility solution, which are the metros, which have all come. And there is also the high precision engineering coming with the high speed train or the bullet train between first phase of Ahmedabad to Mumbai. All of it, Hitachi is involved. I mean, that's our proprietary technology in the high speed train together with Kawasaki. But, you know, the metro is a case in point where new things, autonomous intelligence is at play. But the Indian Railway mobilization requires multiple cost-efficient solutions, which can be Indian as well. And so when I look at a metro, I may see that I make the car body, the design is mine, I get the propulsion and train control systems as my technology transfer. But I will also use the door maker, the HVAC maker, the power electronics, the gangway. All of this will be done in India because they are already suppliers willing to then graduate to become partners and build a partner ecosystem, which for a Japanese company is also in cultural consonance with how Japan has grown.
But isn't that the trend that one has noticed, that when Japanese companies come, they create clusters and there are hotels that are dedicated to the Japanese way of eating, Japanese way of living, like mini Japans that we see, especially in the NCR region. I've been to a couple. Does that continue or has that also changed?
Siddharth, out of my 34 years at work, I've spent 27 years and 18 years as CEO, 10 years in the bank and 8 years in the industry. A lot has changed also. The younger Japanese are also bringing their families, their children are going to school here. You know, it's the familiarity of the language, the understanding of the culture. There are nearly 2,000 Indian restaurants, I think 1,200 in Tokyo alone. That means, whether it's the fast selling Indian food but the familiarity has increased. Earlier on, you're saying it absolutely correct, that you needed to create a conducive environment, which was similar to that in Japan to make it happen. But now, with more and more people of different originations becoming Japanese faces.
And is golf still core to corporate culture?
Yes,
Japanese?
Golf is very dear.
What do you like to be called? Bharat-san or Bharatji? What rings a bell with you?
Well, increasingly over these years, everyone in office would call you Bharat-san because, that's the G in Japan or Mr. But yeah, it depends on whom I'm talking to.
Sanjeev-san, please step in with another question.
No, I was going to ask that, if I look at the progress that India has made over the last many years, and you particularly spoke about the last 10 years, do you think anything else India could have done to make sure that, since 2014 in particular, that would have even further excited Hitachi more about the land that it currently is? You're almost 100 years in the country.
Yep.
Yes.
As I said, you are from manufacturing to logistics, infra, digital solutions, everywhere you're there. Is there anything more that India could have done? Basically, anything policy-wise that India could have done more?
I don't want to use it as as the forum to lodge any kind of
grievance
here. But at the same time, in different industries, it's worked differently. In some cases where we see that India can take one of the top 3-4 leadership positions, the push is seen very differently. And the coming together of Japanese technology as the origin or the basic platform is encouraged a lot. Sometimes you can't be when it was only price bid, Japanese companies would be outsmarted 35% on an average for 10 years.
Yeah. And other conversations that perhaps AI is also in a similar sort of spot for us. It could be a defining change for the Indian economy, but we'll come to that on another episode of MindRush Pods. For now, and you the viewer, we'll come back with more. Hope you've enjoyed this as much as we have enjoyed bringing this to you. See you soon. Bye-bye.